Kanye West storms off Piers Morgan Uncensored after a fiery clash over his anti-Semitic remarks, sparking viral chaos online. The studio lights burn hot, and the air crackles with tension as Piers Morgan leans forward, his eyes locked on Kanye West. The set of Piers Morgan Uncensored is minimalist, just 2 chairs and a small table, but tonight it feels like a gladiator arena. The audience, both in the studio and watching live online, holds its breath. Kanye, dressed in a black hoodie and his signature oversized sunglasses, shifts in his seat, his jaw tight. Piers, ever the provocateur, wastes no time diving into the firestorm that is Kanye's recent social media activity. Kanye, your posts over the past 2 years have stirred up a lot of pain, particularly your anti-Semitic comments, Piers says, his voice steady but sharp. You've got millions of followers. Don't you think you owe them and the people you've hurt some accountability? Kanye's response is immediate, his voice low but laced with defiance. Piers, I speak my truth. I'm not here to apologize for how I feel. The media twists everything I say, and you're part of that machine. The accusation lands like a jab, and Piers raises an eyebrow undeterred. This isn't about the media, Kanye. It's about you saying things that have caused real harm. You've doubled down on rhetoric that's dangerous. Why? Kanye leans back, crossing his arms. Dangerous? What's dangerous is silencing a black man who's trying to speak his mind. You don't get to tell me what I can say. The exchange is already heated, but it's clear this is just the spark. Piers, known for his relentless questioning, pushes harder. You're not being silenced, Kanye. You're being called out. There's a difference. Your words have consequences, and you seem to think you're above them. Kanye's eyes narrow behind his sunglasses, and he snaps, Consequences? You're sitting there in your fancy suit, acting like you're the judge of the world. You don't know my life, Piers. You don't know what I'm fighting for. The audience murmurs, sensing the temperature rising. Piers doesn't flinch. I know you've got a platform bigger than most, and you're using it to spread hate. That's not fighting. That's recklessness. Kanye's voice rises now, cutting through the studio. Hate. You're the one hating, Piers. You're obsessed with tearing me down because I don't fit your little box. You're not my pastor, man. Back off. Piers smirks, but it's a dangerous smirk, one that signals he's not backing down. I'm not trying to be your pastor, Kanye. I'm trying to get you to see the damage you're doing. You can't. Just say whatever you want and expect no pushback. Kanye scoffs, loud enough for the microphones to catch it. Pushback? This ain't pushback. This is you trying to humiliate me on your little show for clicks. You're a vulture, Piers. The personal jab lands, and Piers's face hardens. A vulture? That's rich coming from someone who's been profiting off controversy for years. You thrive on chaos, Kanye, but this time you've gone too far. The audience gasps as the confrontation escalates, the 2 men now locked in a verbal cage match. Kanye slams his hand on the table, the sound echoing. Too far? You're the one who's too far, sitting there acting like you're perfect. You're just a loudmouth with a microphone, Piers. You don't scare me. Piers leans in closer, his voice dropping to a cutting edge. I'm not trying to scare you, Kanye. I'm trying to make you face reality. You're not a victim here. You're a grown man who's making dangerous choices. The studio is electric, every word a live wire. Kanye's posture stiffens and he fires back. Reality? You wouldn't know reality if it hit you in the face. You're just jealous because I'm a visionary and you're stuck reading cue cards. Piers's eyes flash with anger and he retorts, A visionary? You're not a visionary, Kanye. You're a man who's lost his way, and you're dragging everyone else down with you. The crowd is on edge, the tension palpable. Kanye's next words are venomous. Lost my way? You're the one who's lost, Piers. You're a nobody pretending to be somebody, and I'm done with this circus. He stands, ripping off his microphone, and the studio falls silent. Has Kanye just walked out? Or is this another calculated move in their explosive showdown? The studio holds its breath as Kanye West stands, his microphone dangling from his hand, wires swinging like a noose. The audience, frozen, waits for his next move. Piers Morgan, his face a mask of barely contained fury, rises from his chair, his voice booming across the set. "Sit down, Kanye. You don't get to storm off and play the victim after throwing insults like that." Kanye freezes, his sunglasses glinting under the studio lights, and spins back toward Piers. "Victim? You're the one painting me as the bad guy, Piers. You invited me here just to tear me apart." The crowd murmurs, some cheering, others gasping, as the confrontation teeters on the edge of chaos. Piers steps closer, his tone icy. "I invited you here to have a conversation, but you're turning it into a tantrum. You can't handle being challenged, can you?" Kanye laughs, a harsh, bitter sound that cuts through the tension. "Challenged? This ain't a challenge, Piers. This is you trying to dunk on me for your precious ratings. You're a parasite, man, feeding off my name." The personal attack lands hard, and Piers's jaw clenches. "A parasite? That's bold from someone who's been milking controversy to stay relevant. You're not the genius you think you are, Kanye." Kanye slams the microphone onto the table, the thud reverberating. "Genius? I've built empires while you're still yelling at people on TV. You're nothing without guys like me to prop up your sad little show." The audience erupts, some booing, others clapping, as the verbal sparring turns vicious. Piers, undeterred, fires back. "Empires? You're burning them down with every reckless word you post. You're not a leader, Kanye. You're a liability." Kanye's face twists with rage, and he steps toward Piers, pointing a finger. "Liability? You're the one who's a danger, sitting there judging me like you're God. You're a fraud, Piers, and everybody knows it." The studio is a powder keg, every word threatening to ignite it. Piers, his voice dripping with disdain, leans in. "A fraud? Look in the mirror, Kanye. You're the one pretending to be a martyr while spewing hate. You're not fighting for truth. You're fighting for attention." Kanye's eyes blaze and he snaps, "Attention? I don't need your validation, Piers. I'm Kanye West. The world listens to me, not you." Piers scoffs, his voice rising. "The world's listening, all right, and they're horrified. You're not a prophet. You're a man who's unraveling, and it's painful to watch." The crowd gasps as the insult cuts deep. Kanye's hands ball into fists and he shouts, "Unraveling? You're the one falling apart, Piers, grasping at straws to stay relevant. You're a has-been, and I'm done with you." Piers, now fully on the offensive, steps closer, his voice a low growl. "A has-been? At least I'm not delusional. Kanye, you're out here acting like you're the Messiah, but you're just a deranged man who's lost his grip on reality." The audience erupts in shock, the personal attack crossing a line. Kanye's face contorts and he roars, "Deranged? You're calling me deranged? You're a coward hiding behind your desk, Piers. Say that to my face." Piers doesn't back down, his voice steady but venomous. "I'm saying it now, Kanye. You're unstable, and it's not just me who sees it. You're a danger to yourself and everyone who buys into your nonsense." Kanye laughs, a manic edge to it, and points at the crowd. "You hear this guy? He's calling me crazy because I won't bow to his rules. You're pathetic, Piers." The tension is unbearable, the studio a battlefield of egos. Kanye turns as if to leave again, but Piers's next words stop him cold. "Go ahead. Walk. Out, Kanye. Prove me right. Prove you can't handle the truth." Kanye whips around, his voice shaking with fury. "The truth? You wouldn't know the truth if it slapped you. I'm not running from you, Piers. I'm just done with this clown show." The crowd is on its feet, the air thick with anticipation. Will Kanye walk, or will this war of words explode into something even uglier? The studio is a furnace, every glare and word stoking the flames. Kanye West, his face a storm of fury, stands frozen mid-step, his body coiled like a spring. Piers Morgan's challenge hangs in the air, a dare that cuts through the chaos. "I'm not running from you, Piers," Kanye repeats, his voice trembling with rage as he turns fully to face his adversary. "But you're not worth my time. You're a small man with a big mouth." The crowd roars, some cheering Kanye's defiance, others stunned by the vitriol. Piers, his eyes blazing, steps out from behind the table, closing the gap between them. "Small? That's rich, Kanye. You're the one shrinking under scrutiny, dodging accountability like a coward." Kanye's laugh is sharp, jagged. "Accountability? You're not my judge, Piers. You're a tabloid hack who thinks he's a king. I answer to no one." Piers's voice drops, cold and cutting. "No one? Not even the people you've hurt? You're not untouchable, Kanye. You're just loud." The audience gasps, the tension so thick it's suffocating. Kanye steps closer, his voice a low growl. "Hurt? The only thing hurting is your ego, Piers, because I won't kiss your ring. You're obsessed with controlling me, but I'm not your puppet." Piers smirks, but it's laced with contempt. "Control? I'm not trying to control you, Kanye. I'm trying to wake you up. You're spiraling, and you're too arrogant to see it." The words hit like a slap, and Kanye's face twists. "Spiraling? You're the one who's spiraling, Piers, chasing clout by dragging my name through the mud. You're a leech, and I'm done feeding you." He rips off his sunglasses, tossing them to the floor, his eyes wild with defiance. The crowd erupts, the gesture electrifying the room. Piers, unfazed, steps even closer, their faces inches apart. "A leech? Look at you, Kanye. You're a mess, preaching like you're the second coming while the world watches you implode. You're not a savior. You're a tragedy." The personal attack lands like a bomb, and the studio falls silent, every eye on Kanye. Kanye's hands shake, his voice rising to a shout. "Tragedy? The only tragedy is you, Piers, sitting there like a wannabe god, judging me. You're a joke, man, and I'm done with this circus." He turns again, this time striding toward the exit, but Piers's voice booms after him. "Walk away, Kanye. Run from the truth. You're not a messiah. You're a deranged man who's lost his mind." The crowd gasps, the insult echoing in the stunned silence. Kanye stops dead, his back to Piers, his shoulders heaving. For a moment it seems he might turn back, but then he storms through the door, slamming it behind him. The studio is left reeling, the air heavy with the aftermath. Piers stands alone, his chest rising and falling, the weight of the moment sinking in. He turns to the audience, his voice steady but raw. "That, ladies and gentlemen, is what happens when ego meets reality." Kanye West can run, but he can't hide from the consequences of his words. The crowd erupts in a mix of cheers and boos, the room divided but electrified. Online, the clip spreads like wildfire, racking up millions of views within hours. Social media explodes with reactions, some praising Piers for holding Kanye accountable, others condemning him for pushing too far. Hashtags trend, memes flood timelines, and the debate rages. Is Kanye a misunderstood genius or a reckless provocateur? Is Piers a truth-teller or a bully? As the dust settles, the confrontation leaves a lasting mark. Piers Morgan Uncensored sees record ratings, but the victory feels hollow. Kanye's exit, dramatic and defiant, only fuels his narrative of victimhood, while Piers's unyielding stance cements his reputation as a fearless interrogator. The clash becomes a cultural flashpoint, a raw, unfiltered moment that forces everyone to grapple with the power of words, the weight of influence, and the fine line between free speech and harm. In the end, neither man backs down, but the world watches, judges, and moves on, leaving Kanye and Piers to carry the scars of their war. The studio lights dim, the audience files out, and the viral storm rages on, a testament to a night where truth and ego collided, and no one walked away unscathed.